Welcome back to the Kang Gang Pod. This is episode number 32.
I think this is 32, right?
Are we at 32? Yeah. Wow, it's good to be back. Man, oh man. Today is NBA trade deadline day. It was a wild morning. Dude. I was glued to my phone all day. From pretty much 9 to noon, I was just locked in scrolling. How about you, TZ?
I mean, every time I had a break in class, I'd always check my phone. I'd always check Sham, see what crazy stuff was happening.
I know you had your alerts on.
I did have my alerts on. I always check my phone for notifications. So, it was crazy because I was getting lunch right when the Jake Laravia trade at the buzzer went down.
11:59.
And it was like, bang, just at the last minute. And I told the boys, I was like, Jake Lavine is a solid
I'm
pickup.
Excited. I'm so excited about him.
Yeah, me too.
I mean, he's 6'7", very lengthy defender. He could shoot very, very well. I mean, he's torched us in the past when we played Memphis.
He torched us this year.
Yes, he did.
Yeah,
I saw a lot of people on Twitter. They weren't familiar with Jake's game, and then our buddy, the local guy, had to drop a nice little mixtape for us, and that's all the Kings fans needed to see to be excited about him. But before we get into what the Kings did in free agency. I keep calling it free agency. Trade deadline. I always get the two mixed up for some reason. But did you know that this was an NBA record? 63 players moved at the trade deadline this year.
I did not know that. That is incredible.
63 players. But I wrote down the most notable trades, and we got to talk about them.
All right, let's do it.
So obviously, Luka Doncic for Anthony Davis, and then De'Aaron Fox with the Zach Lavine trade. Chris Middleton going to Washington for Kyle Kuzma.
That's insane.
Valanciunas for CD Sissoko. We got Jonas on the Kings. And then the Jimmy Butler to Golden State Warriors trade was wild. There's a lot of moving parts in that, but, Miami got Wiggins. Brandon Ingram goes to Toronto for Bruce Brown and Kelly Olynyk. Lakers, they killed it this year.
They did. As much as we are not fans of the purple and gold and the purple and gold. They find a way to get a guy in Mark Williams who fits the timeline. They get their center that they wanted. They said, listen, AD, he's 31. We're going to go get Luka, who's going to be the next guy. It's crazy to me how that franchise is the most spoiled franchise in basketball.
Luka
in sports
literally
history.
Falls into their lap, and then they trade, a fan favorite in Dalton Connect, but they land, like you said, the guy that they need. They needed that center all along. Anthony Davis is pleading for it. Pelinka said, "See ya, AD. I'm going to bring in a new center." And Luka as well. So Lakers got it going on right now.
Insane. They did not get any of their rotational pieces besides Max Christie.
Yeah, Max Christie. I know. Our friends that are Lakers fans down in Southern California, they were devastated about the Max Christie move. But I'm like, dude, you got Luka in return. You got to chill.
Yeah, exactly.
This one was I'm excited about. Davion Mitchell going to Miami for PJ Tucker.
305, baby.
Davion, we love you. Trust your work, Davion. Thank you
for
just being part of Sacramento. But you fit Heat culture better than probably any NBA player.
I would agree. And that not only that, especially being in a system where he can thrive under Eric Spoelstra, who is one of the top 5 coaches in the NBA. He's going to be in an environment where he's going to be very successful from day one. And I'm just very excited. They're in the play-in hunt right now. I would love to see Davion Mitchell get another chance in a playoff spotlight to become another hero. They always develop the guys at the right time. I mean, we've seen it tonight. Gabe Vincent was hooping for the Lakers tonight. They just have a knack of developing their guards. I mean, Kendrick Nunn, even though he did have 1 year, he was a 1 year wonder, but
hey, he played great.
In Miami.
They got him a contract and got him to get traded to the Lakers, so it worked.
Goran Dragic. We talk about
the list goes
Tyler
on.
Hero. Yeah, the guards that they develop are incredible. And
I'm just happy that Davion gets to be a part of that, and he's going to help that team tremendously.
Oh, yeah, defensively.
And the fan base is going to love him because, dude, who doesn't love a lockdown guard defender?
Oh, yeah, they're going to love him. So shout out to all my Miami fans that are in there, Deb and Spike and Sammy Lauren. Shout out to all of you. So
take care of Davion for us. Yeah. Please take care of him. We also got This is interesting. I mean, this guy needed to be moved this whole season. Yusuf Nurkic. He's going to Charlotte, which is just funny. I think the only notable player in return was Cody Martin. There's one other player involved, but the Phoenix, they could have made some major moves. I'm shocked that this was only the only one that they ended up doing.
Mm-hmm.
The team that was very surprising that decided to just shake up their whole roster was the Atlanta Hawks. They traded DeAndre Hunter, who's been playing unbelievable basketball, like 6th man of the year candidate, had so many 20-point games off the bench this year, for Karis LeVert and Gorgie Niang. So DeAndre Hunter goes to Cleveland. Cleveland is the best team in the NBA right now, and they get a even taller guy who could score better than Karis this year. This is going to be crazy for Cleveland.
Oh yeah,
Cleveland. But they gave up, guys that were huge parts of their success, like George Niang. Everyone on that team loved him. So I'm really interested to see how that affects the locker room, but they got to be a little excited with DeAndre Hunter.
Yeah, I mean, this is what you do when you're a team that's competing, that's been at the top of the East like the Cavaliers have been. You're in a spot. I mean, the Celtics have been trending down a little bit this year. I feel like the championship hangover is catching up to them a little bit. But if you're Cleveland, this is the opportunity where you capitalize on your talent that you have. And, this has been the best team in the East for all throughout the season. I mean, they went undefeated in their first, I think, 13 games or something like that. It was
a lot. It might have been more.
You lost.
I don't remember. Yeah, I don't remember. It was too much to count.
Too much to count.
They didn't get to the Warriors record, but they were knocking on the door.
They were knocking. So, the Cavaliers, they're going to be right in it for the East, and that's a title contending team. So DeAndre Hunter fits, 3-and-D guy, fits with what Donovan Mitchell does, Darius Garland, Evan Mobley, Jared Allen. I mean, that's such a good starting five.
He's a bucket.
It's an incredible starting five.
He cooked us this year.
And then Ty Jerome off the bench is another solid piece. So
Cleveland, I mean, they gotta be the favorites in the East.
In the East, yeah.
I don't know. I mean, East is actually kind of heating up. East is starting to get exciting, but they also made another move. Sacramento legend Bogdan Bogdanović gets traded to the Clippers for Terrence Mann and Bones Highland. That one was a shocker too.
That was the most shocking one.
And let's just talk about the Clippers for a second. I think Bogey's gonna thrive out there, getting open looks from James Harden passes, and when Kawhi gets double teamed, dude. Bogey's found a great, and he's back in the Pacific Division, so we're gonna be seeing Bogey a lot. I mean, Kings fans love Bogey.
We'll be seeing him soon.
I know. Yeah, we play them really soon too. But yeah, those were like the main big trades. But then again, like RT said earlier, at the buzzer, 11:59, 3-team trade with the Sacramento Kings. It was the Pistons.
No, wasn't it?
It was Wizards. Yes,
right.
I was trying to think where back was from, but it was the Kings, the Wizards, and the
Grizzlies,
The Grizzlies, yeah. So we got Jake LaRavia from the Grizzlies. Alex Len and Colby Jones get sent to Washington. And then the Grizzlies end up with Marvin Bagley and the other guy that was involved in the trade. But talk about a guy that it's so funny that, all the years with De'Aaron, he's just been asking for a wing. Kings fans, we've been begging Monty to make the trade for a wing, and then we get a young. I think he's like 23 years old.
Yeah, 23, 24. Yeah,
23, 24 years old. He was playing in a great system in Memphis. He was thriving over there, playing really good. I mean, it doesn't really show in the for season averages. I think he was only averaging like 7 to 9 points. You'd have to stat check me on that, but yeah. Jake LaRavia, 6'7", shooter, defender, and the only downside, it came in later when Bobby Marks tweeted on X. He said, the Kings are in an interesting position because Grizzlies declined his player option for the 4th year, so the Kings can only offer him a $5.1 million deal for in the offseason.
Dang,
so basically,
that's crazy.
We have 29 games to show Jake LaRavia why you should stay in Sacramento.
Yeah,
so it's going to be interesting. We've been in this position before with Harry Giles further back, and obviously we all know how that ended up. But also with Dante DiVincenzo, he walked in free agency as well. So I mean, if we're able to keep him long term, I think this move could be really, really good. But also, it's like Colby Jones and Alex Len were, Colby Jones never saw the floor, and then
Yeah.
Alex Len. When we bring in Valanciunas, that means Alex Len's going to get no minutes. So either way, I think it's a good trade, but I'm really hoping this could convert to something long term because this is a guy that we've been needing for a while.
I mean, both guys we've been needing for a while.
Yes,
you know,
yes.
I think what you saw from last year when we played against Jonas Valanciunas for like 6 times against the Pelicans, every single time that he would match up with Sabonis, he would match up physically, the physicality would match, and there would be times where offensively Jonas would dominate against Sabonis. So having Jonas on our team tonight, this for the rest of the year, I mean, you saw it tonight. We'll get into that. We'll get into the game obviously tonight, but he's just a brute enforcer, just is able to just be scrappy, just a physical dude, and doesn't back down at all. So, you know, that's just a guy that just is another big physical body that's able to get inside the paint and just live inside the paint.
Yeah, and we also played the Wizards a couple games ago, and he went off against us.
He had 23 off the bench. Off the bench.
Yeah, which is crazy. So I'm very excited about Jonas. I mean, obviously, we'll talk about what we saw in today's game in a little bit, but something else about Jonas, he's only 32. I thought he was a lot older.
No.
I had to look up his age right when we traded for him, and yeah, 32.
It's not
you
bad.
know, it kind of fits the timeline. He's not like past his prime. I think he still has some solid years left. And the biggest thing is that he actually has an offensive game coming in to take over the Sabonis minutes when he gets into foul trouble or when he just needs some rest. And, you know, with Alex Len, yeah, he was a big body, but dude, offensively, he couldn't do anything out there. But Jonas not only could have like a nice mid-range, he could even step back for the three. We've seen it in his past, but outside of that, he's just a big body. He could rebound, and he's not like the greatest rim protector by any means, but better than what we had before.
It's better than Alex Len.
Definitely an upgrade.
I agree. It's better than Dwayne Dedman that we've had. So, you know, it's better. I mean, it's better than Rashawn Holmes too, even though Rashawn Holmes was such an energizer bunny.
Yeah.
You know, he had his rim protector deficiency. So out of the last 5 years, I would say it's definitely been one of our better bigs that we've had.
Backup bigs,
yeah,
too.
one of our better backup bigs that we've had in a very long time. So, you know, I'm excited. I think Kings fans are also very excited about these two moves, and I think that a lot of people are really looking forward to seeing how this rotation is going to be set come Saturday when all our players are going to be getting a practice in and all that stuff too. So I think this is going to be a very solid rotation, and you know, we're going to see how this rest of the season pans out. So
I know, obviously we're just hoping for the best. I mean, the two games, the Magic and now the Portland Trailblazers tonight, you know, obviously wasn't our best performances, but it's, you know, it's such a small sample size, and literally they threw Zach Lavine in. He got there the day before, throw him into the Magic game, and he hasn't played 2 weeks before then, you know, so like he was obviously not 100% shape, and obviously it's a new system. You could tell from anyone watching, you'd be like, this just doesn't look right offensively. We don't really know what we're doing. These 5 guys on the floor, Zach looks lost out there. And then obviously it looks a little bit better today. So you could just see that we're slowly trending upwards just in the 2 small sample size games that we've had. But I mean, do you want to jump into the debut game, or do you want to talk more about the deadline? Because there's some.
Let's talk a little bit more about the deadline, because there's a couple more stuff in the deadline that was kind of like, ooh, that is super puzzling. One of the trades that I saw that was probably the most shocking, and I was like, man, this guy could have been so good for our roster, is Marcus Smart. And the trade, and for him, because he got sent to Washington too, right?
Sent to Washington.
Yeah, and I was completely shocked about Marcus Smart, because that's the guy that was just a defensive glue guy for the Celtics and even for the Grizzlies when he was healthy. The defense was really, really good when he was out there. So, you know, I think Marcus Smart's in a spot where he just needs to go out and play for a little bit, try to build himself up again, and you know, maybe in the offseason he can become available, you know, to many teams, hopefully in Sacramento. That would be really fun to have him.
Yeah, Marcus Smart, has he been injured a lot of this year too, or?
Well, he was injured,
I know this
season and last season he's been definitely hurt. So
it's so unfortunate, because I mean, he was so good. He was so good with Boston, and then but now Middleton is in Washington too, which is so strange because you would think right when he'd get to Washington they would flip him, right away.
Right.
But they want to keep him, which is just so strange. So like you have no idea what a team like Washington is trying to do right now.
Yeah.
But I think one of the trades that was really surprising to me was Ingram to Toronto.
That was
shocking to me because Scotty Barnes and Ingram kind of play the same position, but I think what they're trying to do is replicate what they had before with OG Anunoby, Siakam. They just like these like really tall, lengthy wings. I mean, so it's interesting. I mean, I don't really know what Toronto's trying to do either, but that's something to keep your eye on.
I mean, they are in a tanking spot right now, so with a good draft pick, you can really develop a good core three of Scotty Barnes, whoever your pick is, and then Brandon Ingram. So I think that's a very good, solid three. And then you have Emmanuel Quickly, that's also there too. You have RJ Barrett's there too.
Got Jakob. I mean, they got a great starting five.
I mean, they're there. They're just a young team. And right now they just need some veteran presence.
Maybe that's what they were thinking.
And Brandon Ingram, I think, is a very solid veteran for them and for that team. And I think that gives them an opportunity to really raise their floor a little bit and try to compete for a play-in spot in the East, most likely next year or the following year. So with young pieces and trying to develop that system right, that's going to be a team, and we talked about it earlier when we played against them, that's a team we're going to be able to look out for in the next couple of years.
I was shocked that Toronto would be willing to walk away from Davion. He was having,
he was good.
People were hyping up his defense over there, so they were, there was like a little bit of a campaign for first team all defense for Davion in Toronto.
Right.
I think the fan base is going to miss him a lot. That was a little bit of a shock to me, especially for just PJ Tucker. It was really strange move. But
that's why would the Raptors do that?
I know. Yeah, that one. Yeah. Okay, the one other one I wanted to talk about was Middleton for Kuzma. So do you think? Okay, obviously, we've talked about Kuzma a lot. He's been linked to the Sacramento Kings for a very long time, but now he's going to partner up with Dame and Giannis. And obviously, Giannis had to co-sign this. So him and Chris Middleton have been together for almost like what, 8 years?
I think their entire career they've been together.
Yeah, exactly. So now, they bring in the younger Kuzma to take over the Middleton minutes. So I'm just curious what that's all about and how if that will actually better them, because Kuzma could kind of be kind of all over the place, but I feel like maybe in the right system he could thrive. Obviously we saw it with LA, but what do you think? What do you think about that one?
Yeah, I mean that's probably the most interesting one out of all the trades that have been happening. I think to me it's going to be interesting to see how the pecking order would really go outside of Dame and Giannis, because those two guys get the most shots out of their entire team. So how that's going to be distributed is going to be very, very interesting. I mean, they have Brook Lopez still. They have Kyle Kuzma. So that's a pretty solid starting lineup and all those. And the bench is pretty deep too. AJ Green is another solid.
God, I love AJ Green.
Yeah, AJ Green's great. So, I mean, this is going to be interesting. I know they just traded for Kevin Porter Jr. too. I
saw that. Yeah,
that was a huge. That's a very solid guard bench piece.
That was almost a buzzer beater too. That was like right before the deadline.
And that was for Marshawn Beauchamp too.
I saw that. Yeah.
So I mean, the Bucks are definitely trying stuff out. I think this is a time to do it for them. I think this will be, as long as that roster stays healthy, I think if you trust Dame and Giannis, you have a good, solid supporting cast around them, this is a team that could potentially make the finals coming out of the East too. So, I mean, Giannis has done it before where he was not like one of the top seeds and he ended up winning a chip. So, anything can happen in the East. I think the East is going to be very, very interesting come playoff time. And there's not like a clear favorite that's out in the East right now. I mean, there's a lot of teams that are going to be. There's 5 teams I think that could really, really make a push for the East.
I would like to think. I would just say Cleveland is like. If you had to choose a favorite, I'd say them. But I mean, I think it's wide open still because obviously Cleveland, when they play against Boston, those games are so crazy. I feel like in a 7-game series, that's going to be very, very tough. Same with New York, and there's a lot of teams that are playing really good right now. But yeah, that was the other teams. But let's focus on the Kings. So
all right,
this was this was probably the most active Monty McNair and the front office has been in their time. In the trade deadline era, or not era, the trade deadline, making moves right before the deadline. We got rid of Fox. We bring in Lavine. We get rid of Alex Len, Colby Jones. We bring in Jake LaRavia, and then we get rid of CD Sissoko, who we got in the De'Aaron trade, and we flip him for Jonas. So we got tons of new guys. I posted on the Kang Gang Instagram today the 2022-2023 Beam team, the team that broke the playoff drought. Only 5 players remain.
That's crazy.
And De'Aaron's not one of them, which is wild. Even the fact that Trey Lyles is still part of that 5 is pretty crazy.
Yeah, that's crazy.
So it's Trey Lyles, Keon Ellis, Sabonis, Monk, and Keegan are the only 5 left.
That's the only 5. Wow.
Which is so crazy. But, it's a new era of Kings basketball. We got Zach Lavine at the shooting guard. We got Jake LaRavia, who I think is going to be a great guy off our bench. And you know how we always stagger minutes with the starters. I think he's going to... I don't know if I want to say he'll be like closing out games, but maybe he might be like a guy you throw in there to kind of be a disruptor. Like in tonight's game, Keon only played 2 minutes in the fourth quarter, and like you need to have defense out there because man,
we gotta save. We're gonna have to save. We're gonna have to save it.
I'm jumping ahead.
No, you're good.
What grade would you give the Sacramento Kings on this trade deadline, on who they brought in, who they got rid of? How do you think they did overall?
You know what? I will say this. It is tough to lose your best player, but I do think the return was very solid enough to, combat losing your best player. Obviously, you want to try and develop. You want to get enough pieces where you can be able to move stuff at the trade deadline. I mean, with the second round picks that we've gotten, we did a pretty good job of getting the guys that we needed with those picks and all those things. So, and especially Zach Lavine. Zach Lavine is still a very good player in all those things. I'm looking forward to Jake LaRavia. I'm looking forward to Jonas Valanciunas and all that stuff. So overall, I think just because, yes, you could have gotten a little bit more out of the De'Aaron Fox trade than you could have wanted, but you still made the moves necessary to build very much a depth build team, and just having solid depth, throughout an entire rotation. I think that's very, very huge. So I'll give the Kings a B.
B. Okay, that's what I was gonna say too. I like where your head's at with that, because the thing that makes me so excited about the Jake LaRavia move is that we didn't go after like a big name player,
right?
Because like you want too many cooks in the kitchen. I mean,
you want to talk about a guy that didn't get traded was Cam Johnson.
Yes, and same with John Collins. They both stood. I mean, I bet you Kings fans probably would have been a little bit more excited if we ended up with one of them, but then that would have just complicated the starting lineup, That whole time debating if we go for Johnson or John Collins, I was like, all right, then what's the starting lineup going to be? Because I bet you both of those guys are going to want to be, the starting 4. Mm-hmm. I'm like, what do you do? Do you put Malik back to the butt? No, you need a guard. You need a point guard out there. I just think the Jake LaRavia move was the perfect move, and the fact that we didn't get rid of any of those first round picks that we got from the De'Aaron trade was huge too.
Yeah, and that's fallback too, just in case you ever get to a point where your season may not work out the way that you want to. Even if this year doesn't work out, we still have to remember our pick is 12, a top 12. Top 12 protected pick. I know I had to stop myself and just be able to get that clearly, but a top 12 protected pick is still pretty good. That's especially in a deep class. So, even if that doesn't convey and we still are in the play-in and we miss out on the play-in, those picks turn into 2 second rounders for Atlanta, and that pick basically becomes that. And that gives us more leeway too, also to unlock more stuff. So either way, you do have 2 really solid options where you can really convert either this first round pick for Atlanta, and then you go without a first round pick, you go and be more aggressive at free agency, or you draft a guy that can really, really be helpful in terms of depth, right?
Exactly.
So no, there's no fault at what you can do with the rest of the season. So I'm interested to see how the rest of the season plays out, especially after the All-Star break. So we'll see. It's going to be an interesting time.
No, I think it's great that, the trade deadline is like right before the trade deadline's right before All-Star break, because now we're going to have some time to hopefully gel the team a little bit, because we made a lot of moves. So we have a lot of new pieces that are not familiar with each other. Obviously we brought in some best friends, Jonas and Sabonis, and then we brought in Lavine for DeRozan. I think just as a team, it's going to be good to, get those practices in, because those first 2 games that we saw, Let's talk about the Magic one briefly because that was the Zach Lavine debut. Man. Let's just glance over it because it was Zach Lavine's debut. I was in the building for that, and let me tell you, people were hyped. I'm talking like before, during the player intros, people were all on their feet. Everyone had their phone out. Everyone was very, very excited for them to announce Zach Lavine on our team. And it was so loud in there for Zach. I'm just glad that, because he's coming into a situation where, we lost our best player. So he has obviously some big shoes to fill. But, people gave him, I think, the appropriate response for coming to our team, which was great, which was so nice. I'm glad to hear that the fans are. That's why I think the fans are very excited.
I just think we have the best. I really genuinely think we have the best fans in the entire league. I mean, when you go through trading a guy like De'Aaron Fox and then you bring in a guy like Zach Lavine, and the reaction is exactly what you mentioned. That's got to be such a confidence boost for Zach Lavine, being like, hey, this whole fan base is behind me. I feel juiced up, ready to play. I'm ready to go out there. And even though, yes, he is coming off a week where he didn't play.
2 weeks, I think.
Yeah, 2 weeks, right? So, so even then, you still get that like juice and that flow where you're able to just have that extra step in your playing. And so, for me, I think that's going to be such a very good thing for us to have Zach Lavine once, after he gets acclimated with a couple of practices and gets to know the rest of his teammates. So exciting times, man. I'm really high on Zach Lavine.
Sacramento.
Zach Lavine, baby.
Zach Lavine. He's already got 2 nicknames. Probably more.
Oh, yeah.
Before his first game.
Right, exactly.
So he had 13 points, 3 assists, and 1 steal. He shot 4 for 13. Not the greatest. And he went 0 for 4 from 3, which is only the second game this season where he hasn't made a 3. So, obviously, a new team, new everything. I wasn't expecting, a 40 ball. But, obviously we'd like to see more shots go in. But it looked like he didn't want to intrude or overstep or shoot too much. I saw him a lot, just hands on the hips in the corner. It just looks like he didn't really know where to go on the floor. But that's one of the practices will really help, with the motion. But the thing that did stand out the most was he felt very comfortable playing with Domantas Sabonis.
That was huge.
And no one talks about Zach's passing ability. He had some great assists to Sabonis in that game.
He had a dime in the first minute.
No, that was the first play of the game. First play was crazy. I was like, okay,
yeah, he's got it going.
Yeah, so the standing ovation for him was amazing. But that Magic game, man, I think that was one of our worst defensive games of the year.
Oh my god,
it was so bad. Franz Wagner was just chirping
turns.
at the people sitting in the front row. It was bad.
Dude.
He was going crazy.
The fact that he turned into prime Larry Bird against us is bonkers. I mean, I have a stat after the 2 games I do want to share that is not very good stats from the Kings in terms of just for more salt in the wind. But like I said earlier, I think that one of the biggest things I think that really I'm interested in seeing the most, and I wonder how these 2 players are going to play together, is Malik Monk and Zach Lavine. I just feel like there were times where Malik was pretty hesitant on giving the ball to Zach, especially on the post and the high wing, and letting him go to work there. So I think those are just things you work out during practice too. So I think just getting used to a play style, how a person likes to receive the ball at a specific spot, that's going to be very important for tomorrow. Because we're recording this Thursday night. They'll have most likely a practice tomorrow. They're most likely flying back. But that's something that I think the Kings need to just really do, is just have a practice where Lavine just tells them hey, this is where my go-to spots are. Design plays. Let Zach be comfortable coming off DHOs from Sabonis and letting him do what he needs to do, because I think this is something that could really, really help this team, is just having a solid practice.
Yeah, I know. And I think we might be able to get, one full practice tomorrow and a little mini, walk, shoot around, hopefully just, go over some extra offensive stuff that will help the spacing out a little bit more. Now let's talk about the game we just watched. Kings versus Portland in Portland. Going into this game, the Portland Trailblazers, which was so surprising to me, 14-3 at home. They've obviously won 9 out of their last 10. They're one of the hottest teams in the NBA as of right now. And they are leading the NBA in defensive rating in these last 10 games.
That's crazy.
They're leading the NBA in a lot of categories in opposing teams, 3-point percentage, opposing teams. They showed a whole thing on the pregame where I was like, wow, Portland is on fire. But, 2 weeks ago, that was the Kings. We were in that same exact position. So I was like, okay, we know how to lose when we've won 9 out of 10. So I was like, let's do it to them. They were due for a loss,
right.
we were saying before. But, Portland... They are very similar to Orlando Magic, where there's a bunch of big guys on that team that are super lengthy, and then Kings just any team with length is our kryptonite.
Get exposed. And I think another thing too that's really important that I noticed in that first half is we scored 27 points in that first quarter, and Portland scores 27. But I feel like the biggest difference between that first quarter and that second quarter is we only scored 23 points in that second quarter. So you're not going to win basketball games at a very high rate if you're scoring 23 points in a quarter.
It wasn't the greatest.
It's just not the greatest. And that was also the quarter that we shot very poorly. So we shot 36.4% in that first half from the field, 33% from three.
Yeah, we weren't shooting the best.
And while Portland was shooting 43% from the field and then 47 from three in that first half.
Yeah, they were lights out the whole game. Mm-hmm. The first half, Malik, he had 13 points, but he no assist, which is so rare for Malik. Sabonis was kind of struggling tonight. He only had 7 points in the first half. Keegan, on the other hand, was looking pretty good. That's our boy.
Yeah, that's our boy.
He was going to play good in front of Chris Murray. The family showed up for that. So he'd be playing for the family. He had 12 points in the first half. But this is what I was most excited about. Jonas Valanciunas.
Dude.
I was hyped watching him play at the end of the first quarter and then going into the beginning of the second. He had 4 points. He had a couple rebounds in that little stretch he had in the beginning of the game. And he was looking like he was like, I got to show this team that I'm here to help. And that's what I saw tonight. And he just had play after play where I'm like, dude, it's so nice to have
he's an enforcer, dude. Like he's such an enforcer, man. That's like, I watched that, and a lot of you guys, I had friends text me, is like, this guy is so good. I already love Jonas already. And that is the best feeling in the world when you see somebody in their debut that just plays the game the right way. That just helps our team so much. So yeah, I was very much impressed with Jonas tonight. I mean, he just looked like a guy that just was like he just looked like Sabonis coming off the bench. So
there was even a play where he grabbed the rebound and he took it instead of passing it to one of the guards, he dribbled the ball up, and I was like, dude, look at Valanciunas. I was like, we're living in the year 3000 with this Jonas brother. I was like, look at him,
dude, that's crazy, burning up for us, baby. I love it.
Oh, dude, it was great. But yeah, first half, King shot 5 for 15 from three, and the Blazers shot 47%, 9 for 19.
Yeah.
So, dude, it only got worse from there. So. Let's just talk about Anthony Simons for a second, dude. That was a quiet 8 3-pointers. When Katie said that was his 8th three, I was like, I had to like double check. I was like, wait, what? I was shocked. He went 8 for 12 from three.
8 for 12?
8 for 12, dude. I was shocked.
What?
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah,
wow.
But another thing that just was so unfortunate was Sabonis fouling out with 3 minutes left in the game, and 3 of those fouls were illegal screens. Some of those,
those were questionable.
Those were questionable. And then obviously the last one where he was going for the rebound. It's not like, when you extend, easy foul. Obviously you can't do that. But this one, he was just jumping into like, I forgot who it was, Kamara or someone.
Yeah.
And then Sharp, Shaden Sharp.
Right.
And Shaden Sharp, I don't want to say he flopped, but he kind of fell flat on his stomach somehow.
He did a little acting. He took a little acting class.
Yeah, but then it got Sabonis out the game, with 3 minutes left. DeRozan was very slow in the beginning of the game, but fourth quarter DeRozan, he went off.
He went crazy. He went crazy.
I mean, obviously we're very thankful to have him, but man, it would have been great if, we got Zach Lavine a little bit more involved. It just feels like with the current starting five, it's the ball movement is just not there. It's
not there, and like we said earlier,
it's a small sample size. Yeah. We know it's going to change, but just I feel like obviously every single game is very important for the Kings right now.
Right, exactly.
And these are games that we definitely could win, and I just feel like with the the roster construction currently, it was a little bit difficult, and just like who we had on the court during those stretches. Because speaking of that, Keon Ellis, one of our best on-ball defenders, only played 2 minutes in the fourth quarter when there were so many times tonight where we were getting just blown by like almost every single possession. And I'm like, no wonder Sabonis is going to foul out, because Malik is getting guys driving right by him. DeRozan, I mean, it happens every game. And Lavine, I'm like, dude.
I was kind of frustrated.
That was frustrating.
That was frustrating. I wish Keon got those closing minutes, especially when they had the opportunity. I feel like you could have gone small and really took that last like 3 minutes to really have like a small ball lineup.
Well, they did, because they had Valanciunas, but then they took him out right away. He played for like a minute, then they ended the game with Trey. Right. So they did go small, but still, it just.
I don't know.
I think.
I don't know.
I think
that's a little puzzling to me.
Yeah, but I think Doug Christie's biggest, what's going to really define how this season unfolds. Obviously, we have a bunch of stars on our team right now, offensive stars, but you need to have like defensive guys in to close games. Like you need. That's why like you got to have Keegan in at all times. You got to have Keon. That's why I was saying even Jake LaRavia, because having Keegan and LaRavia out there, that's a lot of length, and I feel like that could be, what we struggle most against. Do that to someone else, because right now, like, people are just driving to the paint effortlessly.
Right.
And obviously, when we traded for Lavine, and we weren't expecting a star defender, but now that we have like Jake LaRavia, and I think that's just a guy that could help with the defense. And I think just showing length, it prevents you from wanting to drive, right? Or just makes it a little bit harder.
It is
tonight. So easy, and against Orlando, even easier. So, yeah, and that was basically the storyline of the game. It was just poor perimeter defense and poor defense in general.
Yeah, well, just poor defense. You harped on a point where you mentioned this. I mean, when you get blown by, your rotation changes.
It kills you.
It kills you because not only that, you have a drive and kick opportunity, and that leads to an open three that's in the corner.
Late closeout every time, and they're shooting wide. Yeah, because they ended up with 16 threes tonight. So I mean, and then the fact that Anthony Simons had 8 of those, dude,
it's insane.
The last one was contested, but I seen with all the other ones, dude, just the way how like we play off a guy, I feel like that just shows that they're not confident in their own defense, because when you're giving him that much space to begin with, you're doing that because you're hoping that when he starts to drive, you have a little bit more space to catch up. But when you have that much space, they're just going to shoot right over you. And that's what happens so many times. I'm like, you gotta play up on these guys.
You do. And before going into tonight's game, the Kings had the second worst 3-point field goal percentage opponents that the opponents shoot from. Opponents shoot at 37.7%.
This is all teams combined?
All teams combined.
Oh my god.
The only team that's behind them that was going into tonight was the New York Knicks at 37.8. So
we're 29th in 3-point defense.
But I think after tonight we'll be 30th. So
I was gonna say I had a stat for you too. Out of the 4 out of the last 5 games, opposing teams have shot 40% from 3,
and we've lost all of those games. Yeah,
so when they're going to do that to you, how do you expect to win?
You can't.
I mean, DeRozan will give you every mid-range jumper at the end of the games to help bring you back, but when you just playing catch up after a 3, dude, it's not the recipe for success, unfortunately, but we just need some practice, which is definitely going to help. I think Jake LaRavia, he's flying in, he'll be ready by Saturday. I think when we have our full team, then we could start really judging how their performance is, because I'm not too worried about what I saw the last 2 games. Obviously, it's just frustrating because now we're under 500 again, so that's not something to be excited about. Now we're the 10th seed, not something to be excited about. And then a lot of teams in the West got better. So that's the thing. That's the thing. I'm not excited about either. So, I mean, we just have to hope and pray that we could just, because I think we have 29 games left in the season now.
Yeah,
because we played 51.
You played 51, so that's 31 left.
Right, yeah, 31 left. My bad. So we have 31 games left. So now we really just gotta.
You got to buckle down.
It's got to buckle down.
This is where this is a make or break it time.
I know. So, and I think Kings fans would be devastated if we don't make
the play-in, yeah.
playoffs.
Well, the consolation prize is we do get our top 12 pick protected. So that is a consolation prize, unless the 13th and 14th pick leapfrog over us, and that is
which will probably happen. Timestamp this.
Yeah, timestamp this. This is February 6th, 2025. So if the 13th or 14th pick leapfrogs us over this, you can always circle back to this video and be like, oh my God, these Kings fans, I just feel so bad for them. And it's like, you know what? We've been dealing with this crap for 20 years, so nothing too crazy.
Hey, we're not fazed by anything anymore.
No, I know.
Trading your best player, not fazed anymore.
Yeah.
But hey,
speaking of...
I just want to speak about... Yeah, well, we're going to speak about that in 1 second, but we just have to give our kudos to Portland really quick because we've been hearing, guys on their roster in the trade circles for a very long time with Jeremy Grant, Matisse Thybulle, Robert Williams. They're probably like, hey, we actually think we have this thing figured out right now because they're playing great. Obviously, their overall record doesn't reflect how good they're playing right now because they're still the 13th seed, but they're on a 6-game win streak now, and they are a tough team. I feel like if they just make a little bit of adjustments, they're just only going to get better and better. And they got a great coach, Chauncey Billups. I don't think he's going anywhere anytime soon. I think they'll have some stability with him, and I think they got something good growing over there, which sucks to say because now that's a 13th team in the West that is good, and then if Cooper Flag goes to Utah Jazz or something like that,
that's the 14th.
Then boom, then it's just like the West is just the best.
Who would the 15th be in that team? I guess would it be? I don't know.
Oh, it's the Pelicans.
Oh, the Pelicans. Yeah, and we can't forget about the Pelicans. We can't forget about them.
I'm actually shocked they didn't make more moves. I thought they were gonna flip the whole house.
Yeah, I thought they were gonna flip the whole house,
but they didn't. They're
just gonna rely on just turning just a little bit of stuff. Yeah, I mean that's another team. So everybody in the West just gets better and better and better, including us. But
yes, yeah.
So it's just a bloodbath. But speaking on Chauncey Billups, right? I feel like one of the biggest things that Chauncey Billups has done a really good job of is having a very good guard rotation. I mean, you see it with Shaden Sharp, with Anthony Simons, with Scoot Henderson.
Yeah, Scoot and Shaden off the bench is crazy.
Yeah, it's very solid.
It works great.
It works.
It works so good.
And then DeAndre Ayton's been playing really well.
Oh my God, I don't know what's gone into him. It looks like he wants to play basketball again.
Donovan Clingan. They really struck gold with that pick this year. And a lot of their other guys, that have developed. They have their own Keon Ellis in. Oh my gosh, I can't say his last name for some strange reason. It's. Let me make sure I have this right. I know who it is. It's Kamara. So Kamara.
You mean his first name is hard to pronounce?
Yeah.
Tumani?
Tumani, yeah.
Tumani
yeah.
Kamara.
It's like Tumanji, but it's Tumani. And then Danny Adavita, he's been great too.
He's solid.
Solid pieces, man. That team is going to be very good, and I believe.
Yeah, like Shaden Sharp had 24 points off the bench. Yeah. That's crazy. And then 18 and 8. I mean,
yeah, that's really good.
That's Phoenix Suns numbers for him again. So
right.
Crazy. But now let's talk about the drama of the day.
The elephant in the room.
Oh my gosh, dude. Because I needed to be off my phone for a little bit after just refreshing for 3 hours, waiting for the Kings to do something. And then after I put my phone away for a couple hours, I reopened the Twitter app, and my God.
Right.
I was not expecting to see this. So let's break it down. I have the timeline right here. De'Aaron Fox. So De'Aaron Fox, obviously, he goes to San Antonio, and then he's wearing his Spurs uniform. He makes the video, hey, I'm so excited to be here, San Antonio, go Spurs, go, whatever, right? And then they post on Instagram a little carousel of videos of De'Aaron Fox. And then in one of those videos, he says, yeah, I texted Stephon Castle saying, like, I really wanted you to be on the team when I get there, basically. Not word for word, obviously. Don't take me out of context.
Yeah.
But basically is what he said was he was texting Stephon Castle when, like, the trade rumors were happening, pretty much saying, like, hey, like, I want to make sure, like, you're there if I get traded there. Like, I don't want you part of the trade for me, basically. So that happened. He has his debut. 24 points, 13 assists, and a 1-point victory over the Hawks. Then, the Kings play. Zach Lavine we lose by 19 points. We were down by over 30 at one point. Malik Monk gets interviewed in the locker room, and he says that he hasn't been talking to Fox since the trade rumors started happening, and so that was the whole thing. Like, you'd expect them to, they're best friends. You'd think they'd have a little bit of communication during that time, and then he's ever since getting traded, they still haven't talked to each other, which is that's its own thing. And then he also said that Malik said that it sounds like he wanted to get traded. So that was another thing where I'm like, ooh, Monk is hurt. Monk is hurt by Fox's decision, because obviously it played a huge part into him coming to Sacramento from LA in the first place, and then signing the hometown discount to be here even longer. So that I could obviously see why that would be a little hurtful to Malik Monk.
Right.
And then this is where things get interesting. Fox goes on Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it, and he posts this. Everybody has the same story about the dysfunction, but yeah, it's my fault. So he posts that. I think right before that, D-Lo from D-Lo and Casey on ESPN, 1320, he posted the grass emoji, the Fox emoji, and the grass emoji. And then Fox claps back. So they get into a little bit of a beef. And then D-Lo and Casey are live at this point, and then D-Lo gets a phone call from De'Aaron, and then they have a conversation on the phone, and then to end their show, they said, we cleared the air. We'll talk about it tomorrow. So when you guys are watching this, watch them.
I hope y'all tap in. I hope y'all
gotta tap in.
I mean, I'll be tuning in tomorrow.
Yeah,
I mean,
we all have to.
Which is today,
crazy.
and then today. So tune in today immediately after you see this video.
Yeah,
or
because ours will come out in the morning. Theirs will come out later.
Yep.
So that was the. I'm also missing one part. So after the phone call, everything the beef was settled. He put D-Lo posts. I just got off the phone with De'Aaron. Everything, hearing both sides. It's they pretty much just cleared it up, and then he posts that, and then De'Aaron quotes the tweet and does the handshake, and I was like, wow. So obviously that's gonna be very interesting. We'll probably see all the reports if you don't get a chance to watch it live, but that was very, very interesting. And dude, then just seeing the amount of people turning on Fox was crazy during that time. Everyone was like,
honestly, even in our comments, people were turning on Fox.
Yeah,
it was
people
crazy.
were turning on Fox. I mean, you definitely have a right for him to be upset about him wanting to not play here. But I mean, can you really blame him? I mean, I think the one thing, obviously, waiting to hear what was said between the two, that will obviously give a lot of clarity to the situation. But from what you saw with the Stephon Castle comment, obviously that wasn't. It just sounded like he was trying to make sure that the Kings didn't get the players they wanted. It was
a little low key. I'm gonna say the T word. Tampering.
Yeah. So that was the one thing where I could see why people were getting real upset. But dude, people were saying some nasty stuff online, and then even a little bit in our comment section on our YouTube video, calling us De'Aaron Fox Glazers. I thought that was really funny.
Yeah,
I was like,
hey, it works.
I was like, hey, we work at Krispy Kreme, so we're fine with that.
It works. It works.
Yeah, that was all funny, but yeah, hey, it is what it is. This was my, because people were texting me my thoughts on what they were seeing on X and everything, and I said, can't we just be sad for the one day he gets traded and then move on? That was my opinion. Just feel what you need to feel. Mm-hmm. I think we were just shocked, a little sad that the 8-year era of De'Aaron Fox is actually gone. But hey, we get an all-star back. Now we have Valanciunas, and now we have a wing to partner with it. Move on. Hope for the best with your team. That was my mindset with the whole thing. But what were your thoughts when you saw that go down?
Yeah, that's a lot to unpack. Today and yesterday there was a lot to really unpack, but I think the biggest thing that I took away from all of this, I think that Fox wanted to end terms on a good way, and I think that he wasn't the biggest fan. That there were fans that were starting to turn on him because they saw the comments where they were like, hey, Stephon, I want you to stay, and people were pretty upset that they thought it was tampering. And so now that yesterday, he has a lot of negative images, kind of a lot of negative thoughts around Twitter and social media, because social media is a very, very, it's a very negative place, especially if people can take and run into a thing that they see and spin it in their own. I think the biggest thing that I took away from all of this is that Fox definitely did, he mentioned in an interview where he interviews with San Antonio after the game, and he basically was like, hey, I did want to stay in Sacramento my entire career, but he knew at the end of the day, the business is a business, and that he was looking forward to being in San Antonio. And that's something I think he needed a change in, and just a change of scenery. He's close to Texas, and all those things. So I don't think it's ill will. I still look at this as like, we can be sad and also move on from it. So I'm in the same boat as you in that department. But I also think that, to me, the Kings, I think a lot of fans are going to recognize De'Aaron for a lot of the positives. The people on social media are going to be negative anyways.
Yeah, I was like, it's such a small percentage of the fan base that are on Twitter,
That's what I'm saying.
I was like, they don't speak for everyone,
It's not for it's not. And the fans that show up to games, they're always going to appreciate De'Aaron Fox.
Oh, for sure.
And fans
they were
fans
like
in general.
They were saying like, please boo him when he comes back on March 7th. I'm like,
that's not the way to do it. That's not
going to happen. That's not going to, like, I'm sorry. That's not going to happen.
Fans are going to enjoy what De'Aaron Fox is going to bring. So
I mean, he spent 8 years with us. I mean,
I'll be in the building that day cheering super hard.
Yeah, we'll be there. We'll be there for sure.
We'll be there.
But yeah, I mean, there's a lot to unpack today. Trade deadline is officially over. The Kings have their new roster going forward. We're 0-2 in the Lavine era, but no need to worry. It's just something that's funny to say. I think after some practices, after some more time to gel, we'll figure it out. Hopefully. I mean, what do you think our ceiling is with this new roster?
Yeah, I think for where this roster is going now, I do think this team has the chance of being in the play-in around the 7-10 spot, and most likely getting a playoff berth. And if the matchup is right for us,
it's all about the matchup.
Yeah.
You're so right.
So,
like, if the play-in matchup is good in favor of us, we should take care of business.
And not only the play-in matchup, but if we do get in the playoffs, we could have a chance of either going up, most likely against. Oh man, Thunder! I feel like we would get cooked for sure.
Yeah.
No
Hopefully
shot.
we don't go against them. If we go against Houston, we're 2-0. Yeah, Houston, Memphis. I think we match up best with those teams. Denver. Oof.
Yeah, and I don't want to play Denver.
I don't want to play Denver. Probably don't want to play LA with Luka and LeBron.
I don't want to play the Lakers, man. That's so scary. That team's going to be so good. So
I mean, it's just. Things are going to heat up quick because we're like neck and neck with Warriors and Phoenix right now. So
and then Dallas is there in the mix.
We just got to go on a run.
San Antonio.
This is a perfect time in our schedule. I mean, we play the Pelicans 3 times in the next 4 games.
That's huge. You got to win all 3.
We got to win these games, dude, because the Pelicans don't want to win. And so we got to find a way. Hopefully Jonas has some bad blood with the Pelicans, so he could go
let's have Jonas go 3-0 against the Pelicans,
because King's killer Trey Murphy is coming.
Oh, and Herb Jones. Is
he healthy?
I don't know.
He didn't play last game.
I don't know.
But Trey Murphy, fans, if you're still watching this, Trey Murphy, we better do everything in our power to stop that man.
Yeah, he just gives us nightmares.
Because, dude, he's been balling out of his mind recently, and if he does that to us, I'll be sick.
Thank God that Najee Marshall's now on the Mavericks too.
I know.
Yeah, I mean, Herb Jones, he was spotted around. This was from Monday, so getting some shots out. So he's coming back sooner than later.
Dang it, dude.
Yeah, he might be coming back. So.
I mean, we just
fingers crossed he's not playing for this next week. So
we just can't take any team lightly, even though this schedule is like favored our way. These teams are still NBA teams. Look at Portland. You see that game on the schedule, that should be a win. But every team is good, So let us know what you think about the trade deadline. Let us know what you think about how the Kings did. Give us your rating of how they did in the comments. I probably should have said this earlier on in the video, but hey, if you're still here, just let us know what you think about how Monty McNair did. If you had faith in him to even make these type of moves, just let us know how you think about the trade deadline and the NBA in general in the comments. Let us know how you think Lavine did these past 2 games, and let us know if you love the Kang Gang Pod.
Well,
thank you so much.
And also, Super Bowl Sunday is happening too. So,
Yes.
hopefully you enjoy, this podcast before you go and make your Super Bowl plans. I will be, oh man, this is so hard. I have to pick between two teams I really don't like. I will choose, God, I'm just going to go with the 3-peat. I think the 3-peat needs to happen.
Hey, the NFL wants it bad.
The NFL wants it bad.
NFL wants it bad.
I think that will help the parity if that happens, because next year the Chiefs will be more unmotivated.
Do you think Kelsey's retiring if they win?
I think I wouldn't be shocked. I think it would probably happen. Actually, I think he gets one more year and then he probably calls it quits.
They go for the 4.
And if they don't win, they call it quits.
I thought if the Chiefs were to win, Taylor Swift would run down there, then they would hold hands, skipping off into the sunset, and then we'd never see Kelsey. That's what I thought. But honestly, dude, Saquon Barkley.
He's a beast.
He's going to be tough to stop. That's going to be a very exciting game. I'm very excited for the halftime show. Big Kendrick Lamar fan over here. So I'll be locked in for that 15-minute special.
I know you'll be tapped in.
Can't wait. There's a lot to unpack today. There's been a lot going on in the sports world, in the entertainment world. Grammys just happened. Kendrick Lamar went 5 for 5. There's been a lot of cool stuff going on.
That's crazy.
But the craziest thing is that the NBA this week, leading up to the Super Bowl, completely took away all the hype from the Super Bowl, and it was all on the NBA. Partly because of Luka. It was crazy.
The ratings are back.
So yeah, because even you can see on the impressions that the Luka Doncic notification was getting compared to the Super Bowl announcement.
Right.
It was wild how lopsided it was in the NBA's favor.
Right. NBA
is back, baby.
Back.
They just drafted the All-Star teams as well.
Oh.
Kenny's team looks trash compared to the rest.
He picked Anthony Edwards first. I was so shocked by that.
Yeah.
Why you not go after Shea?
Yeah, it was crazy.
Or Giannis.
Shaq. It's going to be Shaq
Jeez
versus Kenny,
Louise.
I think. Shaq versus Kenny.
Yeah, my God.
Because they got LeBron, AD, and Steph on one team, and then Chuck's team.
Oh, yeah,
Chuck's
Chuck.
team has
Jokic.
You
said Chuck, right? Yeah.
Jokic, Shea, Wemby, I think.
Yeah, that's filthy. That's filthy.
Let's just hope they play like it's an actual, pickup game in the summer. Just show some type of effort.
Yeah,
we don't want them going all out, but just play with a little bit of
urgency,
like please.
a little bit of a pickup in New York.
Yeah, I just want to see something. I want to see something exciting, because I don't want to just not watch the All-Star Weekend stuff. But that's all we have for today. Thank you so much for watching. We will be back very soon. Hopefully the Kings win the next one. We love you. Subscribe. Follow us on Instagram. Do all the things. Like the video, and we'll see you next time.
And also check us out on Spotify. I know we haven't talked about that a lot, but check us out on Spotify.
Yeah, we're on Spotify. Yeah, but hey, YouTube for life. We love you.
That's right.